This is Ethan. Ethan is a regular, hard-working stickman who spends 40 hours a week sitting in a gray, boring office cubicle. He is tired of his boss, he is tired of his low salary, and he is tired of waiting for a tiny annual bonus. One evening, Ethan comes home, turns on his television, and discovers the magical world of real estate flipping reality shows. On the screen, charismatic hosts in pristine designer clothes buy a completely ruined, abandoned house for $100,000. They spend 2 weeks painting the walls white, installing cheap laminate flooring, and putting a fake plastic plant in the corner. Then, with big cinematic music playing in the background, they sell the house for $300,000, pocketing a clean, effortless $100,000 in pure profit. The host looks directly into the camera and says, "If we can do it, you can do it too. Be your own boss, achieve financial freedom, and start flipping houses today." Ethan's eyes light up. His brain is flooded with dopamine. He does not see a high-risk financial strategy. He sees a golden exit ticket from his boring corporate life. He skips work the next day, withdraws his entire life savings of $50,000, and convinces a high-interest private lender to give him an additional $250,000. Ethan is officially a real estate investor. He feels a massive surge of adrenaline. He thinks he is a clever entrepreneur who discovered a legal cheat code to get rich quick. Ethan is about to enter a psychological and financial meat grinder. Today, we are going to expose the dark, unspoken reality of the house flipping industry. We will show you the hidden structural traps, the corrupt contractor networks, and the economic disasters that reality television shows completely cut out of their episodes to sell you a fake dream. Stage 1. The trap at the auction. Ethan decides to skip traditional real estate listings because he thinks regular agents are too expensive. He wants a real bargain. He goes to a local foreclosure property auction down in a dark City Hall basement. The room is packed with aggressive, professional stickmen holding clipboards. They look cold, calculated, and experienced. Ethan feels out of place, but he tries to look confident. A historic cottage from the 1930s appears on the big screen. The roof looks a bit old, the windows are cracked, but the exterior has that vintage, trendy look. The starting bid is $120,000. The professional investors in the front row take a quick look at their notes and completely fold their arms. They stay dead silent. But Ethan remembers the TV shows. He thinks he is smarter than everyone else in the room. He raises his hand and bids $130,000. The auctioneer bangs the gavel. "Sold to the stickman in the back row." Ethan wins. He is ecstatic. He drives to his new property, opens the front door, and steps inside. The air inside smells like old books, wet concrete, and heavy dampness. But Ethan is still optimistic. In his mind, he has a strict, perfect financial plan. He will spend exactly $30,000 on a quick cosmetic renovation, completed in 4 weeks, sell the house for $280,000, and walk away with a massive profit. He takes out a hammer and hits a cracked piece of drywall in the living room to start the demolition phase. The moment the drywall shatters, Ethan's golden dream shatters with it. Behind the wall, there are no solid wooden studs. There is only a massive, moving black cloud of thousands of subterranean termites. They have been eating the structural bones of this house for 25 years. The main support beam of the roof is completely hollowed out. It looks like a piece of dry Swiss cheese. If a heavy snowstorm hits the town, the entire second floor will collapse directly into the kitchen. Ethan panics. He runs down to the basement to check the main water supply. He steps down the stairs and plunges his foot into 3 inches of toxic, stagnant green water. The main sewer line under the foundation is cracked, and every time the neighbors down the street flush their toilets, a tiny bit of waste leaks directly under Ethan's property. This is not a cosmetic renovation. This is a structural catastrophe. Stage 2. The Contractor Syndicate. Ethan realizes he cannot fix a collapsing roof and a broken foundation with a DIY YouTube tutorial. He needs professional help. He opens a local classifieds website and looks for the cheapest construction crew he can find. He finds a contractor named Jack. Jack arrives in a rusty pickup truck, wearing a faded tool belt and a confident, friendly smile. Jack looks at the termites, looks at the green water in the basement, and nods his head. "Don't worry, my friend," Jack says, clapping Ethan on the back. "I have seen much worse. I can fix the roof, replace the foundation, and make this place look like a luxury mansion. It will cost you exactly $40,000, and my crew will finish everything in 3 weeks. But I need $20,000 in cash right now to buy the premium structural steel and the specialized timber." Ethan is desperate. He writes a check for $20,000 and hands it to Jack. He feels a massive wave of relief. He thinks his problems are solved. The next day, 2 construction stickmen arrive at the house. They walk around slowly, smoke cigarettes, drop plastic coffee cups on the floor, and use a loud drill for 30 minutes. Then, they leave at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. On the second day, only 1 worker arrives. He spends 3 hours sitting on his phone, looking at social media, and leaves early because he says it might rain. On the third day, nobody shows up. Ethan calls Jack. Jack's phone goes straight to voicemail. Ethan sends 5 text messages. No response. 3 days pass. Then a week. Then 2 weeks. Finally, Jack answers the phone. His voice sounds angry and completely different. "Listen, Ethan," Jack barks into the speaker. "When we started digging under the kitchen, we discovered that your electrical wiring is from the 1940s. It is completely illegal and a massive fire hazard. The city inspector came by and issued a stop work order. If you want me to continue, I need an extra $15,000 immediately to hire a certified electrician, or my crew is walking away from the job forever." This is the classic contractor extortion trap. Ethan has already given Jack $20,000. If he says no, Jack disappears with the money, and Ethan is left with a half-demolished house that has no roof. Ethan is forced to go back to his high-interest private lender, beg for more cash, and sign a predatory amendment to his loan. He sends the extra $15,000. Jack's crew returns, but they do not use premium structural steel. They use the cheapest, lowest-grade wood from a local discount store. They cover the toxic black mold in the bathroom with a thick layer of cheap white plastic panels. They hide the dangerous wiring behind new sheets of thin drywall. Everything looks clean on the outside, but underneath the surface, the house is a ticking financial time bomb built on lies, cheap tape, and corrupt craftsmanship. Stage 3. The market freeze and holding costs. The renovation does not take 3 weeks. It takes 5 long, agonizing months. Ethan is completely exhausted. His hair is falling out, his eyes are bloodshot, and his bank account is completely empty. He has spent $85,000 on renovations instead of $30,000. His total investment in the property is now $215,000. But finally, the house is finished. The walls are painted a trendy light gray. The cheap laminate floors look shiny in the photos. Ethan hires a professional real estate photographer, puts a giant "for sale" sign on the front lawn, and lists the property for $310,000. He sits on the cheap plastic kitchen counter and waits for the bidding war to begin. He expects 50 buyers to run through the front door with bags of cash. Nobody comes. The first weekend passes without a single phone call. The second weekend is completely dead. What Ethan did not realize while he was fighting with Jack in the basement was that the wider macroeconomics of the country were shifting rapidly. The Federal Reserve, worried about massive inflation, just raised the baseline interest rates by 200 basis points. Suddenly, a standard 30-year mortgage rate jumped from 4% to nearly 8%. The entire pool of average homebuyers vanished overnight. They can no longer afford the monthly payments for a $300,000 home. The housing market did not just slow down, it completely froze solid. This is where the most terrifying monster of the house flipping industry emerges from the shadows. It is called holding costs. Every single day that the house sits empty on the market, it eats Ethan's flesh. The high-interest private loan he took out has a strict monthly interest payment of $3,500. Because it is a short-term investment loan, the rate is variable and incredibly aggressive. Additionally, Ethan must pay property taxes on the house, premium insurance for an unoccupied structure, electricity to keep the climate control running so the cheap laminate doesn't buckle, and a fee to keep the lawn cut so the city doesn't fine him. Ethan's total holding costs are $4,200 every single month, $140 every single day, $4.16 every single minute. Even when Ethan is sleeping in his own rental apartment, he can hear the digital clock ticking away his life savings. Stage 4. The capitulation. 2 months pass. Ethan has paid $8,400 in pure holding costs just to let the house sit empty. He realizes he cannot survive another month. He drops the listing price to $290,000. Still, nothing happens. He drops it to $260,000. Finally, a buyer appears. It is a cynical, experienced real estate investor stickman named Victor. Victor smells Ethan's desperation from a mile away. Victor walks through the house, notices the slight slope in the kitchen floor where Jack used cheap wood, points out a tiny water stain near the bathroom panel, and shakes his head. "The market is terrible, Ethan," Victor says with a cold tone. "This house needs a lot of work. The foundation feels unstable, and the market is going down further. I will give you an all-cash offer of $190,000, but you must close the deal within 5 days. Take it or leave it." Ethan opens his calculator. His private lender is threatening to foreclose on the property next week and take his car. If Ethan rejects Victor's lowball offer, he goes completely bankrupt. He has no choice. He accepts the deal. He signs the final contract, hands over the keys, and looks at the final closing statement. After paying off the massive private loan, the accumulated high interest, the contractor overruns, the holding costs, and the transfer taxes, Ethan is left with exactly $0. His $50,000 life savings is completely gone. 5 months of brutal, sleepless labor evaporated into thin air. He did not build wealth. He just destroyed his financial future to renovate a cottage for a predatory cash buyer. He walks back to his gray office cubicle on Monday morning, sits down in front of his computer, and stares at the wall in total silence. How to defeat the flipping monster. How can an ordinary stickman navigate the dangerous world of real estate flipping without losing their life savings? You must understand the 3 immutable laws of professional renovation. Law number 1 is the margin of safety rule. When you calculate a house flip, never assume everything will go perfectly. Take your estimated contractor budget and automatically multiply it by 1.5. Take your estimated renovation timeline and automatically double it. If the deal still makes a healthy profit on paper with a 50% cost overrun and a 6-month delay, only then can you consider buying the property. If the margins are razor thin under perfect conditions, step away immediately. Law number 2 is the independent inspection commandment. Never, under any circumstances, buy a foreclosure property or an auction house without a comprehensive structural inspection conducted by a third-party engineer who does not care about the sale. $100 spent on a professional inspector before the auction can save you $100,000 in hidden termite and foundation structural damage later. Law number 3 is the capitalization requirement. Never flip a house using short-term, high-interest private debt unless you have enough cash reserves to cover the holding costs for a full year of market stagnation. Cash is your oxygen shield. If you run out of oxygen before the house sells, the market will suffocate you. Ethan sits at his kitchen table, opens a real economic textbook, and starts studying the actual mechanics of corporate finance. He realizes that television is a factory of illusions. He promises himself to never chase easy hype again. True wealth is not built through cheap cosmetic paint and fast marketing tricks. It is built through patient calculation, deep risk management, and the discipline to walk away from a bad deal when everyone else is running blindly into a trap. Stay grounded, protect your principal capital, and remember that in the real world, there is no fast-forward button on construction or economics.